Good morning, RWorld. Welcome back to another episode of RWorld Talk. I am your host, Chris Kresman, and we are lucky enough to have Miss Tammy Saltzman with us.
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic. How
Hi,
you
everyone.
doing? So, Tammy, you were Affiliate Member of the Year for Palm Beach County.
Yes.
Just got that award at our event that we just had a few weeks ago. And you also received a 2-year appointment for 25 and 26 on the Palm Beach County Regional Board.
Yes, I did. I'm very excited about giving back to the community and giving back to the realtors and making a difference.
Well, congratulations. That's an excellent award to receive, but also a great appointment to continue sitting on that regional board.
Thank
you. So you were sitting this year as an affiliate member, and now you are sitting as a realtor member.
Yes, I got my license so that I can be on the Government Affairs Committee.
Okay.
It won't let affiliates do that. So I want to be more involved. So I
Keep giving back.
Jump through the hoops,
Okay, fantastic. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us where you came from. Who's Tammy?
So I'm from New York. I grew up on Long Island.
We couldn't tell.
I spent about 40 summers on Long Island in Montauk.
Okay.
Growing up with my cousins and enjoying our summers in Long Island. I went to law school later in life. After New York, I moved to California.
Okay.
And then I moved to Florida. And so I went to college in Florida, graduated Barry University, and then I went to law school. I started college at 26. I got my bachelor's 8 years later at 34.
Okay.
And then I went to law school and graduated law school at 37. And September 19th was 25 years.
Wow. Long time in the career. Okay. Well, you have, not only are you practicing law, you are operating a title company.
Yes. So, when I first started as a family law attorney, the fund came to me and said, isn't everyone who's getting a divorce having to sell and buy houses? And I thought, yes. So I created a title company called Paradise Home Title.
Okay.
That was before the market crash in 2007 and 8.
Okay.
And then after the market crash, I opened up Secure Title and Escrow. So now I have a law firm. The law firm does divorce, paternity, prenups, postnups, probate, and simple wills.
Postnups, that's not something that you hear a lot about.
Well, postnups are a way to save marriages.
Okay.
So sometimes if you can come to a written agreement about the things that you're fighting about, why get divorced?
There you go.
I'd rather keep people together than divorce them personally. And then, the real estate just went with it. And I really like the real estate portion of my firm because it's just gives me a little bit of different perspective on both things, how divorce affects real estate and how real estate affects divorce.
Okay. So divorce, that's a pretty niche market when we're talking about law practices.
And a lot of other lawyers come to me to consult about issues in their divorce practice and how does it relate to real estate.
Okay. Beautiful.
It is definitely a vertical niche.
So one of my questions was actually going to be how you got there, but we just heard from you that the fund tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, maybe you need to look over here. So let's get into, we just had a really successful RE bar camp.
Yes.
I was lucky enough to present with you. You and I taught one of the morning sessions.
Yes.
The feedback was incredible. And the first thing that I said is, I need to have Tammy on the podcast. So everybody needs to hear what Tammy's got to offer because we weren't talking about really talking about divorce, and we weren't talking about real estate law. We were talking about finding that niche in your career that, everybody can go out and get a real estate license, but what is it that sets you apart from everybody else? And that was really the message that you were driving home at RE Bar Camp. And for anybody who has not been to one of those, make sure that you go next time around. It is a really enlightening, very educational workshop that we hold here at the association, but then they also hold them at the State and National Association as well. Really, really great way to learn because it's not so much of a formal setting, very informal setting. So we talked about finding your niche. We talked about articulating your value, and that's why we brought you in here today because the stories that you were telling, I think, really hit home for a lot of our realtor members, and we want to make sure that they can hear what it is that you have to say. So why don't we start with you sharing some examples of how finding that niche in your market has made a difference in your business specifically?
So interesting. So in my own business, being a family law attorney and a real estate attorney gives me authority in two different areas that not a lot of other attorneys practice.
Okay.
So they're two different niches. But why would someone use me as opposed to any other type of lawyer or another real estate lawyer or even another divorce lawyer? And so what makes me special? There's a million divorce attorneys. There's a million title companies. So why use me? And so why someone is attracted to me might have nothing to do with how good of a lawyer I am or not.
Right.
It might have to do with more that I'm from Long Island or that I spent 40 summers in Montauk. You know, Montauk makes people bond. When they hear Montauk, immediately they're like, oh, do you know Gurney's Inn? Did you go to Ditch Plains? So people start talking the Montauk talk, right?
Right.
And they immediately love you because you have this thing in common.
Right.
So
you might know her cousin Patty. I mean,
right,
who knows?
Exactly. You don't know. You know, and usually people will say, are you Yankees or Mets? You know, so you're either one or the other if you're from New York.
Right.
You're either Rangers or Islanders, one or the other. And so depending on if you're a Ranger fan, those Ranger people are going to come to you. And if you're not a Ranger fan and you're an Islander fan, those people are going to come to you. And that's not the reason they're going to sign your broker-borrow agreement. They're going to sign it because you've taken enough time to learn about them and what is important to them. If they tell you they have 3 boys, likely she's a soccer mom, or they're in the Scouts, or they are sports-oriented.
Right.
And you can ask them what her kids are interested in, or what the husband does part-time. Maybe he likes to garden. Maybe he likes to play golf.
Right.
Maybe they're country club people. Maybe they're not country club people. But the more you learn about the people that you're meeting, the more you can craft your story to interest them.
Right.
And we all know people are going to do business, right, with people they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely. 100%.
And they know a lot of realtors. So what makes you different? What is your background? What did you do before you were a realtor? Where did you live? Like I could say I lived in New York, LA, and Florida.
Right.
I've lived in high rises. I've lived in private homes. I've lived in duplexes. I've lived in condos. I just raised 4 children in a 6-bedroom GL huge house.
Right.
Now I live in a small little 3-bedroom on a lake.
Right.
So I have a lot of experience living in different seasons, different states.
So these are all things that people can connect with you on those levels.
Right. If you meet someone who's relocating from, say, Chicago, you could find out what the best meals are in Chicago. What are the best restaurants? Because that is something that is important to people in Chicago.
Right.
They are known for their good restaurants.
Right.
So the more you have in common with people, or the more they learn about you and you are able to attract them, then whatever is on the paperwork isn't as important because they like you.
And they trust that you're going to get the job done because you guys have stuff in common. They feel like you're starting to create that friendship. They feel like they're welcoming you into their family. So whatever it is that you're going to talk to them about as far as the paperwork is concerned becomes a little bit more of a moot point than that being the center of the attention.
Right. So if you go to Florida Realtors, NAR, Realtor.com, any of these websites, you're going to find all of the attributes that the buyer's rep should have or should do for a buyer.
The 100 and something things that the buyer's agent's going to do for you in the transaction.
Every buyer does that. Every
Right.
buyer's agent does that. What do you do that makes you special? So for me, I'm tenacious. I don't take no for an answer. I negotiate, mediate, collaborate to think outside the box to come up with good solutions.
Right.
I advocate. I am not a good mediator because I cannot stay neutral. So knowing what your strengths are just as important as knowing what your weaknesses are.
Right.
When I'm in a divorce mediation, I may not be the one doing the calculations, right? I'm not the number person. I have an accountant that comes to the mediations who sits with the spreadsheets and figures out the numbers.
Right.
Because the numbers are not my strength. Thinking outside the box is my strength. Coming up with agreements that they can agree to is where my strength is, not in playing with the numbers. So I got my mediation certification. I did a few mediations and I realized I didn't like it. I'm not neutral. I want to advocate. I want to do what's right for someone.
Sure.
And so I stopped mediating because it didn't bring me pleasure. And you should do business that brings you pleasure with people who bring pleasure. There may be someone who you just don't connect with. Isn't it better to refer them to someone that they might connect with rather than just let them go?
Otherwise, they just walk away and find somebody else to do business with anyways, and you have no connection to that deal anymore.
Here's a really good example. I had a wonderful little girl come to my office. She's not so little. She's like in her 30s for a divorce, and her main language is Spanish. And she really was having difficulty articulating in English.
Okay.
So I said to her, I'm going to call someone. I'm bringing in co-counsel. So instead of referring her out and telling her, you should find a lawyer that speaks Spanish, I called my friend Luz and said, I have a case I want to co-counsel with you. Luz came in. So the lights that went off in the client's eyes when Luz spoke her language and she was able to communicate and articulate how she felt and what she wanted and what she needed, it made the whole experience better for her.
Right.
So, I'm a woman's woman. I'm pro-woman. I'm pro-right. I'm pro whatever it is. Some people aren't, right? Some people are anti-this or anti-that. Those people who are negative, I don't get along with those types of people.
Right.
Those are not my clients. I fire certain people from my divorce practice who are angry. I already divorced an angry man. I don't need another angry man yelling at me because his wife is a whatever. I'm not going to curse Justin. So, you have to find your level.
Right.
And not everyone likes redheads. Not everyone likes New Yorkers. Not everyone likes Jewish women. But this is who I am. And so I have to find my
your niche.
Right. Who is it for me? Who wants me? If you want a title company that likes to party and go drinking, it is not me. There are title companies out there that do like that, but it is not me.
I've been to some fabulous title company parties.
I'm sure. And, I once had a woman who I said to her, I can never get your business wine. She said, oh, my Latin girl, she knows how to party. So some people like that. So, my advice would only be to use an attorney-owned title company always, but, you never know. If you have an Asian, so there's a woman I know, she's Asian, she uses Asian title people. It makes her clients more comfortable. It has nothing to do with me.
It's cultural.
It is not, right. It doesn't make me less. It doesn't make me more. No. So I think
there's plenty of business to go around. You're not going to get every single one.
Yeah. And I also recommended in the class that if you do not know what your strengths and weaknesses are, ask the people around you.
That was a great point that you made. You said, you know what? Find your friends, sit down with a bottle of wine and go around the table and tell every one of those friends that you want to hear straight from them about your strengths and about your weaknesses. So that way you can do some soul searching and find out exactly what your peers think about you. Where do they think that you shine? Where do they think that you could do better? Where are things that you should maybe stay away from and not try to put yourself out there? I'm not a TikToker. I'm not going to go and try to beat Carlos Melendez in a TikTok race.
Me either.
He's got those people. He's got his following. I don't have that. That's not where I'm going to go and try to compete with him. Not on that level, that's for sure.
And that's good that that's not you. Right. I'm not that either. I have a TikTok account that my kids set up for me. I even have an Instagram account, and I have another account where it disappears after a few minutes. I forget the name of it. But I don't go on them. I'm a Facebook person, probably because I'm a boomer, right?
Right.
And that's where my people are.
Right, exactly.
They're not.
And you know where to find them. That's good.
I know where to find them, and they know where to find me as well. So your broker would be a good person to ask about your strengths and your weaknesses. A former employer or employee that you worked with would know. Don't ask your spouse. Don't get into the fight. Don't get in.
Otherwise, you're going to be talking to Tammy for a divorce.
I wouldn't ask that person, but I would take it to heart. And some of it will resonate and some of it won't. Some of it you may want to change, and some of it you may not. You may say, I'm always going to be prejudiced, or I'm always going to be biased, or I'm always going to be whatever you are.
Right.
And you don't want to change that, so you won't. And you only change where you want to change.
So I'm going to go back to one thing. If you guys are really paying attention to what it is that Tammy is saying, I mean, right from the get-go when we first started, it's really listening to what it is that customer has to say. Where are you going to connect with them? The only way that you could find out how best to connect with that customer is if you listen to what it is that they are telling you that is important to them. And I had done a lot of training with a company called Richard Robbins International. This was up in Toronto many, many years ago that I had them mentoring me. And one of the things that we talked about are 4 different personality traits. Your customer is either going to be the green personality, where all they care about is the numbers. You're going to have the blue personality. That's the person that the only thing that they care about is that you're not going to let the cat out of the house when you go to do a showing. Then you've got the gold personality. That's the party person that wants to, they're just going to want to talk about you and life and what you did on the weekend and whatnot while you're out there trying to, get that relationship going. But really, it's so important for us as business people, and especially on the realtor side, to really listen. And you do the exact same thing with your practice, but as realtors, really listening to the client's needs, the customer's needs. Find out what it is that's important to them, because it's not about you. You could sit there and spew every award that you won,
Yes.
your production numbers, how many listings you just had, the biggest listing that you just had. Most people don't care. All they care about is what's important to them. And if you're not listening to what's important to them, you're never going to be able to connect with them.
Perfect, exactly. So let's start from the beginning. Know, like, and trust, right?
Yep.
The know part, getting to know you, isn't about really getting to know you. It's about how much they can tell you about them.
Right.
People would rather talk than listen. And so even though you think you need to put all of your accolades on the table, the more you get them to put all their accolades on the table, they leave saying, wow, she was great.
And meanwhile, you didn't say a word.
Because they got to talk about themselves, and I got to tell them how great they are.
Right.
And then the like part is how you weave your story into their story. Oh, you're from Long Island? Have you been to Montauk? No. Sag Harbor? Oh, let's talk about Sag Harbor.
Right.
I mean, it was that little diner on the corner. That is how they like you. They like you because you've listened.
Right.
And you are repeating back to them what they're saying to you, and you're understanding what their needs are, and you are relaying to them, I hear you. Mm-hmm. I'm getting you.
And like you said, find your tribe. And one way to find how to be in that person's tribe is to listen to what's important to them and then insert yourself into those scenarios.
Right. So when people say they love Pilates, I say that's wonderful. But when they say they like yoga, I can talk about all yoga, hot yoga, cold yoga,
Okay.
And we definitely connect more. Now, the trust part. So trust comes in 3 ways. This is what I tell my children.
Okay.
Number 1 is...
Guys, listen up. This is the goods right
Yeah,
here.
this is the good stuff. Don't lie.
Ever.
I don't care how bad the news is. It is better to tell the truth than to lie. The second part of trust comes in accountability. Do what you say you're going to do. Follow through. Be someone that is reliable. If you say you're going to be there at 10 a.m., be there at 10 a.m. Or at least call them and let them know, I'm on my way, whatever the reason is that you're running a few minutes late.
Let me pause you on that one, because I think this is a really big mistake that a lot of people make. You'll be doing showings and saying, oh, you know what? I'll follow up on that and I'll get back to you. I'll follow up on that and I'll get back to you. While you're in a showing, you're a little bit nervous. Maybe it's your first time out with these people. You guys are trying to get to know each other. They just gave you 10 things that they wanted to know, and you keep responding with, I'll follow up on that and I'll let you know. A lot of people never follow up on all 10 of those points because they're not writing it down. They're not taking any type of notes. They just keep saying, I'll follow up. And then you never get anything in response. Meanwhile, that buyer, they just told you the 10 important things to them.
That's correct.
And you did not answer those 10 questions. Don't think that they forgot the 10 things that they asked you. They're waiting for you to send them that email or give them that telephone call and explain that you just went and found the answers to every single one of their questions.
Or call me, because I'm available 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
There you go.
I'll answer the questions and make you look like a rock star because you got a lawyer on speed dial.
There you go.
So the last part of this integrity, thing is, we were talking about accountability. People like to place blame. They like to say, oh, it was the traffic. Oh, it was this. Oh, it was that. Instead, just own it. And the third thing...
My husband calls it eat the frog.
Eat the frog, right. And the third thing is apologize. Own it. Say, I'm sorry. How can I make it right? So these are really important things because people will remember that you screw up long time more than they remember how great you did. So you could do great, you could do great, you could do great, then all of a sudden you screw up and you got to start all over again. So it's better to be honest. It's better to, hear from them what they are telling you, like you said, what they need to know in order to go forward and follow up.
Right. So let's go back to finding your niche. So we've talked about how to get somebody to like you, gain their trust, have them respect you. When you're talking about, so your niche is divorce work. That's your lane. You're killing it with that sort of work. When you're talking about realtors, you've got realtors from all different kinds of niches that are coming to you that you work with.
Yes.
But what is a way that, outside from just asking your friends what your strengths and weaknesses are, where can we as realtors really find what our niche is and be able to sort of ride that train and be the best in that area?
So I think it comes from what do you love? What turns you on, right? Without drugs. So... one of the things that turns me on is teaching, mentoring, being in front of the room. The larger the crowd, the more energy I feel. Whereas there's a lot of people that would rather do anything else than stand and do public speaking.
Yep.
So you need to find your outlet. What is it that you love? And then go deep into that. So for me, I came out really as a divorce lawyer, and then I did do some real estate as a paralegal, and then I incorporated them both into my practice. I never thought I would do probate, but occasionally realtors came to me and said, can you do a probate? I didn't want to turn them away to a different lawyer, so I learned probate so I can use it as an accommodation. As a realtor, you find what makes you feel good. So it could be that you really like sailing. So you join a sail group. You maybe want to there might be a class that you can take on waterfront properties.
Sure.
And how to maximize that. You might...
Maybe you love playing softball.
Maybe you love playing softball or you like playing tennis. And so you would use those areas to find homes either near tennis courts or with tennis courts, right?
Right.
And you would get your leads from people who are in tennis leagues.
Right.
And you're doing what you love. You're not just going to play tennis because you want to find clients. You're going there because you really like tennis. I have a friend who is from Turkey. So I told her to go to the Turkish Chamber of Commerce. And that was all the way in Miami. And it was quite a trek to go down there. But through that group, she found out about other Turkish organizations.
Okay.
And she joined those. And now most of her clients are from Turkey. She's gotten this reputation after several years of being someone.
That doesn't happen quick.
Right. No, nothing happens quick.
No.
3 years it takes minimum of growing roots in the board, in the bar, in a new networking group, whether it be BNI or NPI. You can't go to 3 meetings and think, okay, why isn't it working?
Right.
You got to go for 3 years.
I'm new here. How come nobody's giving me business yet?
And in those types of groups, you got to give before you get.
Right.
Okay. Giving, I give a lot. I answer my phone 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I don't charge for that. I'm hoping that realtor will send me their next deal. So I give away a lot of my time for free. Okay. So that's also another niche that I have in the real estate business, is that I call myself the attorney on speed dial. I do answer my phone on Saturday and Sundays when your buyers have questions.
Right.
And I don't want them to wait till Monday. Call me on Saturday. And it makes you look good.
There's some agents that, they've joined the country clubs. They have, taught themselves how to play golf. They've gotten in with high net worth people because they want to sell luxury waterfront listings. Then you've got another group of realtors that they could care less about the luxury waterfront listing. They're super passionate about helping first-time home buyers break into this market. That's a fantastic niche to have. Is to know your strengths, know exactly where you're going to shine, and you want to be able to wake up every single morning super excited to go to work.
Absolutely. So that is more like living, living the lifestyle and knowing where your market is.
Right.
A lot of times I have these realtors that come to me for coaching and they want to know how can they sell these $1 million properties. Everyone wants to sell $1 million property.
You have to know $1 million buyers.
You have to know the $1 million buyer.
Right.
You have to drive a car that $1 million $1 million buyer wants to drive.
And you're not getting the $1 million buyers from buying leads on Zillow. You're getting the $1 million buyers from the relationships that you have where these people live, work, and play.
Exactly. And you live, work, and play in those areas.
Right.
You don't just go to the Boca Raton Resort. You belong to the Boca Raton Resort. You wear a nice watch. You drive a nice car. You have a nice... you know their language,
right.
And that is why they do business with you. I have a realtor who only does multi-million-dollar deals, and people always ask me, how does she get them? Well, she went to an Ivy League school. She belonged to an Ivy League sorority.
Those are her people.
She married an Ivy League guy. He belonged to an Ivy League sorority. They go skiing every year with these people. They go to North Carolina every summer on the lake with these people. They use her for their real estate. You can't know those people unless you know those people.
Right.
And so if you want to farm a really nice community, move to that really nice community. That's a really good place to start.
So, we've talked about defining your niche, what you need to be doing in order to make sure that you're deeply rooted in whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish, whatever your specialty is going to be. Once we get into that circle that you're trying to get into, whatever that circle may be, that niche market that you're trying to promote, what kind of strategies can our realtor members use to articulate their value to those people that they're running in those circles with now?
So, I always say I'm a girl's girl. And so once a month, I arrange a girl's outing or a girl's activity. And I invite, say, up to 10 different people. They may be from Marketing Madness. They may be from leadership. They may be from somewhere in the community. But they're mostly, I would say the majority are realtors with 1 or 2 affiliates. Okay. And so every month I do something different. One month we went to listen to Sharon Peoples, who owns a title company, but she was performing and we went to support her. And it was a lot of fun. We had dinner first.
That girl can sing.
Yeah. We do different types of events like this. And so that is how I promote I'm having a Friendsgiving in November. Okay. Actually, it's right after Thanksgiving. It's going to be the first weekend in December. So I invited a few women to join us, and everyone will bring a dish, and it'll be nice. I think touching people and reaching out to them with what interests them helps. So if you know that you have someone who is got children going off to college, you might want to send them articles that are related to different colleges around the country. Okay. If you know that they have children who like soccer, you might want to send them information, the soccer schedule for 2025. If you know that they're foodies, you might want to invite them to a wine tasting with a pairing of food or some kind of, we do the bourbon tasting and we get those appetizers, which are always good. Right. So there are ways to extend invitations to include people. And I find that when you make the effort, just this past Saturday night, I had dinner with one of my realtors that gives me title business. And we didn't talk title. We just hung out, had dinner, and enjoyed ourselves.
So the value is really getting to know your audience. It's not so much about telling somebody on a constant basis, this is what I'm going to do for you. This is what I'm going to do for you. Because we're not out there trying to be politicians with our customers. We're out there articulating our value in other ways, is what you're saying.
You are building relationships. You're going to see Mamma Mia together. You are inviting them this weekend to the market down in Del Rey. You are inviting them to go on your boat with you on Sunday. You are inviting them to go pick strawberries with their kids.
Right.
And you're extending invitations that have nothing to do with real estate. And that is how you're building a relationship, and also how you're staying top of mind.
You're out there showing them what the community has to offer, really, is what I'm getting from that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And my next question was going to be, how do you build lasting relationships with your customers in the real estate industry? And you just answered that one.
Yes, you do get lasting relationships. And look, not everyone is going to give you business, but they may like you enough to refer you business.
Yeah.
So I'm friends with all the other title people. I have no problem with any of them, and I try to be friendly with all of them. There's enough business to go around. Not everyone is going to like me. Not everyone's going to like them. And so sometimes you'll meet someone who might not buy or sell, but their aunt is moving down or their sister is coming down, and they'll want to refer them to you. I have realtors that say, I give my title business to this person, but anyone who asks me for title, I'm referring them to you. So, it works out in the end that it does work to your advantage if you make an effort and show that you care.
Okay. So just two more questions left for you, but
Okay.
Let's talk about a time when, because we're talking about personal connection so much, let's talk about a time when you've connected on a personal level with someone, and that client, that customer, that created a significant impact in the outcome of a deal.
So, when you have developed a relationship with someone and they trust you, they will not need as much convincing as if they just met you. I have found that by giving, I have gotten. So let me give you an example. There's a builder that I work with. He's a private guy. He's not a big builder. He's a private builder. And he calls me all the time. He asks me things, and I am there for him. And I have done a lot of things for him gratis. Just gotten him information that he needs. Not easy information, where I've had to go down to the permit office, where I've had to meet with the zoning department, and I come back with great information. And he always says, how much do I owe you? And I said, you don't owe me. Just give me your title work. That's all I want. And recently, he sold a $12 million property. And the realtors don't use me. They have their own title people. And he said, no, we're using Tammy. She's my title girl. She's my lawyer. And she does a lot for me. And I'm going to make sure she gets my business. So there's that. There's those things. Also, I think it's important that, I think you get a lot of loyalty when you give a little. I used to keep $100 bills in the office for clickers, for garage door clickers, because that used to always be an area of contention. There would be three garage doors with one clicker. So I would give them $100 so they could go to Home Depot and get 2 new clickers. But it would make everyone so happy.
Right.
For $100.
Right.
For me, it was worth the $100 for everyone to be happy. And especially for that, my referral source to be like, you're getting every one of my deals now, because they saw how happy it was. I don't give those away anymore because nobody asks for clickers. They all have it in their car now. It's all programmed in their car.
Right.
So, but little things like that can go a long way. Okay. Throwing in an extra $100 at the end so that they can get the chip out of the steps or whatever it is. Sometimes after the final walkthrough, there's an issue. And I think that if I am willing to resolve the issue for everyone and make everybody happy, that goes a long way.
Makes the realtor happy, that's for sure.
Right, it goes a long way.
Right,
it goes a long way.
Okay, so you're a busy lady, and we are going to let you get back to your business.
Thank you.
But before we do, one last question that we ask of all the guests that are on the show.
Yes.
Tell us about a South Florida hidden gem that you love, whether that be a beach, a trail, a park, a dive bar, a restaurant, whatever it is. What do you love about South
So
Florida?
nobody would expect me to pick a dive bar, but I am going to pick a dive bar because there's a dive bar. It's called the Whale's Rib in Deerfield.
Okay.
And it reminds me of Montauk. And they sell steamers there. And you can't get steamers everywhere, but you can get them all over Long Island. For sure, you can even pick your own.
Steamers, clams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ipswich.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones at Pissers. They call them Pissers, steamers, Ipswich.
Okay.
So, yes. And the Whale's Rib has those clams there all the time. It's usual. Sometimes they don't if they're out of season. They have these whale fries, which are to die for. And you can order them crispy or you can order them limp.
Okay.
And they have something called whale juice, which is their special sauce that goes on everything. And it's really delicious.
Okay.
But expect to wait at least an hour for a table. It's usually a very long wait there.
Okay.
It's usually packed.
I think somebody's told us about the Whale's Rib on a different episode, but I don't remember getting all the lowdown on the good menu items.
It's making me want to go there tonight for dinner.
Okay.
So that's like my favorite, place, my dive.
That's your Florida hidden gem dive bar. Okay. Well, Tammy, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks.
Truly appreciate your time and all of your insights. And for you guys, go check out the Whale's Rib. Send Tammy some business, and we will see you guys right back here next Friday, 8 a.m. on RWorld Talk.